Chapter 27. Milo stumbled into his office like a novice actor shoved onto a Broadway stage. His eyes darted around the room, assessing potential weapons with all the expertise of someone whose combat experience came exclusively from watching action flicks. The sticky notes on his desk weren't exactly going to inspire fear in anyone except perhaps a particularly anxious personal assistant. "Don't shoot!" Milo yelped, throwing his hands up in a gesture that was equal parts surrender and jazz hands. "Don't be absurd," Ava said, brandishing the object she'd been pressing into his back, a water bottle, its label peeling away like the last vestiges of his sanity. "I'm not going to hurt you." "Oh," Milo said, dropping his hands to his side. "Right. I knew that." "Sure you did." Ava closed the door, then locked it, perching on the edge of Poppy's desk. "I see you've met our friends in the basement. Learned all about the big bad cinema protectorate for yourself." Milo nodded. "I was an idiot, Ava, and I'm sorry for ever doubting you. It was Poppy who sabotaged the film." "I know," Ava said. "I've been watching her, but kind of hard to point a finger in the direction of the perfect gal Friday. Still, I'm sorry." The hard lines around Ava's eyes softened. "They've had decades to perfect their act, Milo. The CP could give Meryl Streep a run for her money. Now what did they tell you?" "That my movie could destroy the world," Milo said, collapsing into his chair. "And they showed me plot 147 itself." "Was it a paragraph on the wall?" Milo nodded. Ava rolled her eyes. "They show everyone that paragraph. It's part of their shtick. But you can't trust anything the Protectorate says, Milo. They're not protecting the world, they're controlling it. They're like overzealous producers always meddling with the script, convinced they know better than the writer or the audience. But instead of ruining movies, they're micromanaging reality." Milo blinked. "But the words..." "The words are fine. Bet you didn't smell that slight chemical in the air? The one that made you feel dizzy? Off kilter?" Milo pursed his lips. "I did remember a slight lemon scent. Wrote it off as furniture polish." She glared at him. "You really forgot the #1 rule of Hollywood, that everything is an illusion." Milo straightened in his chair. "So there is no plot that can destroy the world?" "Oh no, plot 147 is definitely dangerous." Milo growled. She held up her hands. "But not to us, to them." "I don't get it," Milo said. "Story does have the ability to transform the world, to remake reality, but it's not always for the worse." "You mean..." "World peace," Ava said, as if announcing the twist ending to humanity's longest-running drama. "I'm sorry, did you say world peace? As in, no more war, everyone gets along, kumbaya around the global campfire?" "Exactly." Ava nodded, her expression deadly serious. "The Cinema Protectorate is covering up a way for the world to achieve lasting universal peace." His eyes bulged in their sockets like a Looney Tune. A high-pitched whine like a kettle reaching its boiling point escaped Milo's lips as he sputtered. "But why? Wouldn't peace be a good thing? Aside from putting Michael Bay out of business?" "Peace means change, and change is scary, Milo, especially to those in power. Can you imagine a world with no more arms race? The military-industrial complex vanishes overnight. The fat cats at the top of the food chain are now the mice, and their playground of global chess is now a friendly game of checkers, where no one struggles to have their basic needs met. There's more than enough to go around, Milo, but humanity has a tendency to hoard, and the Protectorate provides the distraction." Milo shook his head. No, I dreamed about the end of the world. A mushroom cloud, destruction everywhere." "That nightmare?" Ava laughed. "That's just plot 147's marketing campaign playing in your subconscious, like having anxiety dreams about Jaws after watching a documentary about goldfish." She leaned in and locked eyes with him. "Think about it, Milo. Really think. In your heart of hearts, do you believe that anything Frank Capra created could ever be truly destructive? Do you think anything you've written could bring about the end of the world?" His eyelids slammed shut, face contorting like Jim Carrey. And then a small smile tugged at the corners of his mouth, growing wider and wider until it finally threatened to split his face in two. No. Milo opened his eyes. I don't believe it could. Exactly. The only thing the Golden Path threatens to destroy is apathy, control, greed, and that's what scares the Protectorate. Ava stood, smoothing out her clothes. Follow your heart, Milo. See the potential in your script. But what about the Protectorate? Oh, they'll try and stop you. The sabotage you've experienced so far is only the tip of what they're capable of, but the world needs stories like yours, now more than ever. And then she turned and left, the door closing behind her with a soft click. Milo had entered cliffhanger territory. On one side lay the comforting familiarity of following James's orders and playing it safe. On the other, the terrifying exhilaration of charging into the unknown and fighting for something he believed in. A scene from the Golden Path flashed in his mind. Jack, bathed in golden light, reaching across time to clasp hands with a figure from the past. Braided fingers bridging centuries, cultures, and misunderstandings in one single powerful gesture. A warmth spread through his chest. The Golden Path was a good story, a sweet story. A story about connection and understanding and the power of empathy. It contained nothing that could bring about the end of the world, unless he counted the destruction of barriers between people, the obliteration of walls around human hearts, and the annihilation of prejudice and fear. Milo knew what the safe choice was. He could text Harrington right now, agree to direct Storm of Steel 3, Storm Harder, or whatever the hell it was called, and let the Golden Path fade into obscurity. Or he could follow his heart. Milo tapped his fingers against his desk. He didn't know what to do. What if Ava was lying? And she wanted to get the film made because it would destroy the world. He imagined himself in handcuffs. Perp walked off the studio lot while James and his cronies looked on with despair. A headline flashed before his eyes. Deranged director attempts to destroy world with feel-good film. One choice took a great deal of courage. The other was safe and resigned him to oblivion. But at least he'd get a career out of it. He'd seen what going against the cinema Protectorate cost. And Milo loved movies. This career was all he ever dreamed of. Milo stared at his phone like it was the red wire, blue wire decision. Storm of Steel 3 promised safety, security, and a career trajectory as predictable as a romantic comedy's third act. The Golden Path offered... what? The chance to change the world, at the risk of obliterating it. His thumb hovered over Harrington's number with all the certainty of a Netflix executive predicting the next big hit. Then, with the kind of resigned finality usually reserved for directors signing away final cut, he typed, I'm in for Storm of Steel 3. When do we start?